Welcome to the San Diego Spotlight, where we shine the light on business leaders around San Diego County. I'm your host, Elizabeth Story, bringing you the inside story. Now, I can barely contain my excitement about today's guest. He is an expert in the construction industry and specializes in design, builds, and remodels. The reason I'm so excited about him is because I have both personal and professional experience with construction and contractors, and it really is not for the faint of heart. There are many moving pieces and details and costs that are difficult to keep track of, and it's important to work with an honest and reliable industry leader. So, without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Gregg Cantor from Murray Lampert Design, Build, and Remodel. Welcome to the show, Gregg.
Welcome, or thank you.
Thank you for welcoming me as well. Also joining us in the studio today is Kim Morrison from Morning Drive Show host, and she's also with 105.7 Max FM, and she's official spokeswoman for the Murray Lampert Design, Build, and Remodel for the past 4 months. Welcome to the show, Kim.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so before we get into all the particulars about your business, I'd like to let our listeners know a little bit more about you. Can you tell us where are you from and what inspired you to become a general contractor?
Well, I'm from San Diego. I'm a native, so there's not a lot of us left, I don't think.
I don't think so.
But and I just always liked working with my hands. When I was a little kid, I would take the doorknobs off my grandma's doors and put them back on. So that's kind of how I started out being mechanical. But what happened is my grandfather really didn't encourage me to be in the business. And one day I just went to him and said, I want to get into the business. I'll work for free and I'll work part-time somewhere else to make ends meet. And when you think that I'm worthy of a salary, then you can decide what to pay me. And
Wow.
That's when it started. That was like in 1982.
You worked for free for your grandfather. That's pretty impressive.
Well, actually it wasn't very long because I was taking on jobs right away.
Oh, okay.
So you know how to use a hammer.
Yes.
Is what you're saying.
Yes, I do.
Now, how'd your grandmother feel about you taking the doorknobs off, by the way?
She thought it was great.
All right, so now, and let's back up and let our listeners know, Murray Lampert, you are Gregg Cantor. The company is Murray
Right.
Lampert, but Murray Lampert is your grandfather.
That's correct. So it's my mom's father, and he started the business with my grandmother in 1975, actually out of an apartment. They had 2 rooms in an apartment that were offices, eventually moved to a house, and then when I took over in about 1989, I said, I had a family on the way, and I wasn't going to work 24/7 out of my house, so we actually rented a small space.
Oh, wow, that's impressive.
How big is that space now?
Well, the space what I had when we started was 1,000 square feet. Now we have about 3,000 square feet.
And you're located in Mission Valley.
Correct.
And now you're doing something really impressive that I know a lot of other companies don't do. You have a really technical virtual aspect to your business. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, about 3 years ago we introduced this platform that we use for design development, which completely changed the company. It changed our service and it changed the experience that our clients have because they actually become part of the whole creative aspect. And we can show virtual tours, elevations, full detailed plans of their project, and we can on the fly make changes while they're sitting there.
That is so nice because I know a lot of people have a real hard time conceptualizing what's going to happen, what it's going to look like, and when you get to see it right there on a screen, get to play around with colors and check this brown with this mocha, it's probably really helpful for people to make decisions.
People love it, and what I call it is it's real collaboration. It's not where we're having an architect, and we do have an architect in our office, and he does all the designs, but it's not like us creating a design and taking it to someone and saying, here it is, this is what you get. They're actually part of making decisions.
That's great. And so you kind of touched on this a little bit. That's when the focus of your business sort of changed. You originally were more just general contractor and construction, but now you really decided that your forte is designs and remodels.
Correct. Well, design, we always were design built, but we just took the design to a totally different level because we have the architect in our office, works for us, licensed, so we can provide architectural, some usually better than architects' plans, and we know what the costs are going to be because we're the contractor. So it's really easy to stay within a budget. We work together with our client and we show different design schemes, and then we usually meld 3 designs together to come up with the final one
Question.
Yes.
That's what makes you completely different, is the fact that you can control
Right.
pricing, because pricing is what gets out of hand most when you're doing a remodeling job.
That's correct. And the other part of it is we get all this stuff identified up front, so it minimizes the changes when we're in construction. Everybody's afraid of change orders. Change order isn't even a word in our vocabulary.
And that's again, that goes back to why I'm so excited to talk to you today, because, you know, as we shared a little bit before we came on air, I've had some personal experience with contractors, and it was nasty, and it was really troublesome, because there are contractors out there who like change orders. They like to underbid things. But you're a company, you are the Better Business Bureau Vice Chairman for 2014. You were the Better Business Board member from 1996 to present. And in the past, you were the member of the Ad Club Advertising Ethics Committee, as well as the Ad Review Chair. Why are you so dedicated to being a pillar of our community?
Well, I mean, I just believe in treating everybody fairly, putting everything in writing, and if you do things honestly up front, then it just works.
It's so refreshing. You are like a breath of fresh air. So now let's talk a little bit more about some of the other things that people might not be aware of. Can you explain a little bit more in detail about change orders, mechanics liens, and things like that?
Sure. Well, let's start out by saying that you should never give a down payment of more than $1,000. Never, ever, on any project. And progress payments should be called out in writing, and it should be based on inspections and milestones on a project. That way, the contractor doesn't get too far ahead of you as the homeowner, and you control things.
You control the payments. Now, what's a typical schedule for progress payments, like 25%, 50%?
Well, for us, the average major remodel probably has 8 different progress payments. A kitchen may have 6 different project payments.
Oh, wow. That's nice. So that way, like you said, the homeowner doesn't end up owing too much, or the contractor doesn't end up taking too much, because the last thing you want to do is pay someone and have them quit.
Also, it keeps a little incentive to keep
Absolutely.
to keep them on the job.
Yes,
Absolutely.
exactly.
And so a stage should be done, and then the client should be happy with that stage before they let go of that check.
Exactly. Now, you're also involved in Remodeling Magazine. You've been named on their top 500 on a few occasions, usually in the top 100. And you recently won the Better Business Bureau Award for Marketplace Ethics. So again, talking more and more about, I mean, these just aren't statistics you usually hear associated with contractors, and again, why I'm so excited to talk to you. Now, what's your favorite project that you like to work on?
I would say a remodel where there's a kitchen and space that we add, because it's just the most dramatic, especially kitchens. People spend so much time in kitchens and great rooms, family rooms, and I just see when we finish those jobs how excited people are.
Yeah.
Well, kitchens are now the focal point. And if you've lived in your home for 20 or 30 years, they weren't designed that way.
Right.
And now that's what we want.
So now we're taking walls down, opening up kitchens, and usually the kitchen and the great room or family room are just one big room.
For all the kids to play while mom's cooking. That's what, you know, a lot of people know I have a background in real estate, so a lot of clients, they want that big space for their family to play in. And also, a lot of listeners may already know this, but redoing your kitchen is one of the biggest value adds to your home, as well as the single biggest value add to your home is adding square feet.
Right.
So for people who want more space,
And
it's a great
bathrooms are
investment.
good. I mean, to either remodel or add a bathroom is a good value too.
Right.
I want to back up for a second and cover change orders, because there's a couple different types of change orders that can happen on a job, generally speaking. And
So this is in the process
In the
of
process.
remodeling, when you want to shift.
right. I will say this, that a lot of companies use that as a profit center to write a change order. And the clients are kind of held hostage, because if they don't sign it, it stops work. But I would say you need to push back if it's a change order that you didn't ask for, that's not, you don't think is legitimate, then you shouldn't just sign a change order slip.
And when you say profit center, what you're really meaning is hidden cost. That's kind of a really nice way
Right.
to call it a hidden cost. So a homeowner signs up for this job thinking that it's going to cost X,
Right.
while the contractor pretty much knows that's really going to cost Y.
Exactly.
And it can be a surprise. And then going back to mechanics liens, once the work has already been started on your property, then you get into a nasty position where if you elect to not continue, you could put yourself vulnerable, because now you have a lien on your property to be owing someone money for work that you didn't know was going to cost so much.
Right. Well, and we should talk about mechanics liens, because people are in fear of mechanics liens, and as a contractor or a subcontractor, there's paperwork that has to be filed in a timely manner. So unless that's done, the contractor or the trade partner or whoever doesn't have lien rights. So the easiest way to protect yourself is ask for lien releases at each stage, or by the end of the job to provide all the lien releases so that you know that everybody's been paid.
How do you know to do all this stuff? I mean, as somebody coming in, remodeling their house, I mean, we don't know about all these things.
Well, and that's why I think if the contractor doesn't discuss these things with you and explain the whole process, that's why I work so hard to educate people, even if they don't go with us, and why I write articles and blog posts to explain the tips and all the steps so that somebody doesn't get ripped off.
Maybe that's why 40 years. Maybe that's why you've got 40 years under your belt in this business and you've lasted as long as you have.
Well,
Because that whole reputation thing, reputation matters. Goes
Right.
back to that.
Well, it's a good point you bring up. No matter what contractor you decide to use, you got to make sure you check their license. That's public information. That's Contractor State Licensing Board. Check their reviews. Check their websites. Look into the company that you're using. Make sure that they're financially responsible.
Right.
That they don't have a lot of complaints. 'Cause-
reviews, I mean, and not just one review platform. You need to look at different ones and look at the nature of the complaints, if there are any,
Yeah.
and then make an educated decision. Yeah.
Have you ever had to come and fix a botched job?
We get calls for those, and we seldom take those kind of jobs because it's just too hard. Typically, the people have spent, and I hate to talk about horror stories, but typically the people have paid 80% of the contract, and then but it's going to cost more than 20% to finish the job.
Right. That's just an awful position to be in as a homeowner, I'm sure. You're so excited about this project and then you just end up disappointed. So again, that's why it's so important to do your homework in the beginning. I can tell you you're a company I would definitely be, excited to work with. Again, this is Gregg Cantor from Murray Lampert Design, Build, and Remodel. They're located right here in Mission Valley. You can check them out at murraylampert.com. When we come back, we'll be here again with Gregg and Kim, and we'll talk a little bit more about the construction industry. Stay tuned.